Well, hello, and welcome everybody to ZBrush Live. And yeah, I just want to make sure I do my usual thing with making sure that you can see my screen and also that you can hear me okay. So if you guys can, somebody on all the different services, and I think we have 3 or 4 or maybe 5, I don't know. I don't know how many it is, but I think at least 3. So if somebody from Twitch and YouTube, let me know that you can hear me okay. I think we're good with the rest of everybody else. So as soon as you guys let me know, I will go ahead and get going. And oh yeah, let me know in the chat. Right, let's see. Nobody's saying anything. I guess there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll just wait a few. All right, let me test something here. That's the internet speed. Should be streaming fast. Yep, we're doing good. Yeah, I don't think that's the issue. Okay, YouTube is a go. Brad, thank you. I appreciate it. And if anybody else from the other services can chime in, maybe somebody from Twitch. We have quite a few people on here, so chime in, folks. Waiting for Twitch. I'll give it another minute tops. Okay, Brad, thank you. Yeah, internet speed is just fine. Okay. All right, so I've kind of had a chance to work on this. Okay, so Twitch is sending me a picture of something. I don't know what this emoji is, but hopefully it's something that is saying that you can see and hear me okay. Right, so I did do a little bit of work on it. I'm not going to do a body for him, but that said, I did do a little bit of a body, just kind of a, more of a, alien type of body, and everything is fine on Twitch. Okay, woohoo, awesome, good to go. All right, so I did do a body, and I also did a little bit of a cloak. I don't know if I'm going to use it. I still want to render this thing out as a bust, something kind of similar to what the AI did over here. So I did a little bit of sculpting on the masks, as you can see. Oops, well, that wasn't good. Let me re-zoom in on that section. So basically just kind of went in and I'm going to turn this music off. Sorry, just a second. Here we go. Okay, so just kind of a little bit of kind of pushing in a little bit of details so that when I add the texture, there is a little bit of relief or some kind of specular light that the angle will catch. And I also want to do a little bit of kind of finer sculpting on here as well. But probably we'll just project it from the poly paint, which let me bring that on. Where are you? I think it's this one. Nope, that's the face. I guess another way to do it is do this. And I think it's this one. Nope, that's despair. It's this one right here. Okay, so I'm just going to turn the poly paint on and also turn off polyframe, and then so you can see here that I do have the paint on here as well, and then the sculpting is just helping it along a little bit with these grooves and whatnot. And some of these thinner lines and everything, I will paint those on, or I will kind of sculpt those on in just a minute here. So yeah, cool. Right, so basically this is kind of what it looks like, and if you guys recall, we put in a face on the inside which looks like this. Let me just turn on transparency so you can see it. So it's just kind of a face in the inside, and this is what it looks like. I used the whatchamacallit, the new feature Slime Bridge to create these kind of tendrils. And I'll be coloring a little bit more of this today, and yeah, so that's kind of what our guy looks like now. And today I kind of want to paint this bottom part of his jaw, okay, and also paint the top of his helmet. Which one am I on? Okay, hopefully I didn't do anything sculptural on here. Nope. 1, 2, yeah. This is good. And yeah, so I just want to kind of finish poly painting this. I want to poly paint the hat and this inside part. So today mostly it's going to be poly painting with a little bit of sculpting and rendering as well. So I also did a render of this and it looked pretty good. I'll do another one right now just to kind of give you an idea. But I'm going to change the color here to this darker color for the helmet, because this is kind of more of what he's going to look like. And also I'm not going to render the cloak right now because I don't need it for this render. And I'm using a redshift. Let's turn that on and let's see what that render looks like. Yeah, Slime Bridge is pretty nice. I gotta admit, I've been playing around with it, doing some experiments, and I think it's going to be pretty handy for a lot of different things. Okay, so here's the rendering going on, and I don't know if it's going to do a bucket render or if it's going to do a progressive. I think it's bucket, so we will have to wait a little bit longer. Please note that I am also running this streaming software as well, so it's probably not going to be as fast as it usually is, but it's pretty fast. Here we go. There it is. There's the render happening right there, and hopefully you guys can see that. And so this is kind of the comparison between the two, and I'm already kind of seeing some really cool things in the two that I like this one more of. I did a couple of other things too, and just kind of trying to, I looked at this and I'm like, oh, this mouth looks cool, but can I do anything to improve it? And I added a couple of teeth like this and like that. So, you know, I mean, this is kind of what's cool about doing something like this, is you can experiment. And personally, I like this look a little bit more, especially when we look at it from kind of an angle. But, you know, the other one is cool too. So we have the choice of both. We'll make a decision on which way to go as we progress. All right, so we got our render set up and everything. And I also wanted to share a little trick that I'm using right now to render. So let's do that first. And so the way this works is with lighting. So right now, notice here that I've got one light at intensity 0.85. And what I want to do is I want to put the intensity of that light to 001. So basically, what that says is that the ZBrush lights over here are really not going to emit anything. And I don't put this down at 0 because if I do that, then when I click on this material thing, then all these things would be super, super dark. I could probably pump this up a little bit more, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I'm also going to kill the ambient light, so I don't have any ambient light as well. And then here, I don't have an HDR. But what I want to do is I want to light this scene kind of, you know, in a way that I want to light it. So I'm going to go ahead and use a light cap. So here's a light cap that I've saved, and notice here that this light cap has 1, 2, 3, 4 lights. And I'll just go ahead and recreate them. So right now I have no lights whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and click on New Light, and here is that light, and I'm moving it around the sphere. And basically this is just moving the light around, and you can kind of see how it's lighting the sphere, and that's how it would light my object. And this light starts out pretty weak. It starts out at 0.25, so I'm going to pump this thing up to maybe about 2. I usually, and see now it's here, it's really blown out. But I don't really care because I'm actually not going to have a light that's a circle. I'm going to go into the alphas, and I'm going to choose kind of like a ring light like this. And I'm going to go ahead and increase the fall off of it. So now notice that as I'm increasing the fall off, the light itself is becoming dimmer. So I'll just go ahead and pump up the strength, pump up the fall off. And then for size, if I don't want this to be this big, I can go ahead and scale it down. So I'm going to go to half of what it is and half of what it is width and half of what it was with height. And I get something like this. So this is a ring light that I can just move around and place anywhere. I'm actually going to increase the fall off even more. And I could also, by the way, change the light by changing the aperture, the size of it. So I'm going to kind of leave the aperture to be something like this. And I think that looks okay. Strength, I'm going to go ahead and make this a strength of 5. Okay, so I've got this light, not really doing much, but just creating this kind of little bit of a ring. And again, I can choose a thicker one if I want, either from these alphas, or I could choose something like this, which is these dashed lights. And maybe I will do this one just for kicks. And let's play a little bit with the aperture, maybe get something like that. All right, so I'm going to create another light, and this time it's just going to be a normal light, and I'm going to move that to the center of that. So this is kind of, it looks like this is lighting this area. And I'm also going to pump up the strength of this, not too much, but about maybe to there. Okay, so that's the second light, and I'll go ahead and create a new light, one more, and this one is going to basically be more of a fill light coming in from here. And then I'm going to create one last one. Maybe I'll create one more. But what I want this light is to be in the back so I can kind of see a silhouette. And I'm going to do one more of that and just put it over here. So both of these lights are kind of in the back. And this is kind of what my lit object is going to look like. Now if I go and render, nothing's going to happen because ZBrush does not see light caps, at least not in this version, or not yet. I don't know if it will, but it would be cool. But anyway, what I want to do here is I want to just go ahead and take this and create an environment with it. And when I do that, it basically will create an environment around my object. And let me hide this. And you can see here that if I look around, and do I have blur on? I don't have blur on, so I don't know why I'm not seeing. I should be seeing the light. Let's see here. The blur would be under somewhere else. So it would be under background. Okay, I don't have a blur. Okay, so here's my map. You can kind of see it over here. I have a gamma of 1, exposure of 1, redshift exposure, and all that stuff is okay. And then what I want to do here is I would include a reflection map as well. So then this is also reflecting. And now, I'm just kind of trying to see where, just reduce the size of this and start playing around with the longitude here to see if that comes up somewhere. And for some reason I'm not seeing it. Let me do this. I think I could play around with, I don't have perspective on, that's why. That makes a difference. All right, I just turned perspective on, and now I should be able to, there they are. So you see these bars showing up. Okay, so there's that. And resizing the background, you can do it with your focal length. So right now I have it at 100. So let's see if I go to 50. Let's see if I go to 200. Let's see what that will do. So 200. Things are, let's see, a lot bigger. So I want to go down. Let's say I go to 50. Okay, so there's the ring. I can kind of see it. So let's kind of start at 50. So 50 is the default anyway. So let's just leave it at that, see what we get. Okay, so we've got this now. I'm just going to go ahead and do a render. Now, a couple of things to note is that this image that's created that we're using kind of as a background in lighting. Usually we use an HDR here, but in this case I'm not using an HDR, I'm just using this image. So when the light cap generates an image, it's not an HDR, so it doesn't have that dynamic range. But let's see what it does have. So right now rendering is in progress. We're just waiting for it to kick up. And we'll just give it a couple of minutes here. There's the global illumination. And in a minute here, it'll start doing the render. Now this is going to come in being a little bit dark after it's done. So I could have, here we go. It actually renders pretty fast once it kind of starts, I've noticed. So this render does have the characteristics that I want, but it's a little bit too dark. So what I'm going to do to go here is go ahead and bump up that gamma to 2.2, which makes it a little bit lighter. Let's see what that looks like. Now this kind of lighting mechanism I found is good. Another thing I'm working with is trying to create plates with emissive light on it, which adds to the render time, but it does create some interesting effects. So let's go ahead and see what this render is going to look like. Again, this happened a lot faster because it did a pre-calculation before. So this render is going to go a lot faster than the one before it. And here we go. And I'm going to see up here where it tells me if I'm rendering with GPU or CPU. So here it is. Here's the render. And again, it's going pretty fast, considering this is a pretty heavy model. And it did say it, but I think I moved my cursor, so I'll have to check next time. Okay, so now I'm kind of getting a little bit more of a kind of a nicer render. And now what I want to do is maybe get it a little bit closer. And one more thing I might want to do here to get some shadows, some kind of harsher shadows, is go ahead and take this light that I have and bump up its intensity a little bit and just place it over kind of around where that light was. And so this generates shadows. And I'm going to take this up to, let's take it up to 0.85, which is the default. And there it is. Oh, on another light. Okay. 0.85. That's good. And then also I want to add a little bit of a bluish tint, and it's one of these guys. I think, is it this one? Yeah, I want to add a little bit of bluish rim light over here, so I'm going to turn this one on too. And let's see what we get with this kind of lighting setup. I must say it's been a real joy to be able to render things within ZBrush. I think it definitely it's definitely changed my workflow, and I feel like I'm still learning some of the things, but it's not that different than what I've used before. But the convenience of being able to see things before you hit that render button is really nice. Okay, that's turning out a lot better. So I've kind of got a little bit of a nice see, that kind of caught a little bit of the glint of the lights here, so it's getting a little bit of a better result. And I kind of like that blue that I added. It's adding a nice tinge to this. One thing to note here is that with Redshift renders, it doesn't give you all the layers, right? So it does give you some. So here, if I go to the render menu and I click on render pass, right? I get the beauty pass, and then the shaded pass is the same thing as the beauty pass, it seems like, but with one difference, and I'll tell you what that is in a little bit. And then over here, I do get a depth map, so that's cool, and I also do get a mask. So you get these two, but you don't get a shadow layer, you don't get an ambient occlusion and whatnot, but you could always just add another material and get those separately and then composite them in Photoshop if you so need to. Okay, so the thing I was talking about, the difference between these two, is that I've also done something else here, and I'll probably do a little bit more of that now, is I've gone in and under BPR filters, I've turned a filter on, and I feel that this one really helps the render. So I'll turn it off and then turn it on again so you guys can see the difference, right? So you can see that the normal render without this is a little bit, it's cool, But if I want to kind of bring some of the colors out, I'm using a contrast auto gray with a number 20 here, and that really helps me kind of pop the thing out. And I can, crank this up too if I want to get a little bit more of a, a little bit more of a kind of a better contrast, I guess, in the image if I want to. And then you can always kind of come in here and do some other things too. So another one that I like to use here, another filter, is the Orton filter. Orton, where are you? There you are. And I think that kind of adds something cool. And then you can kind of reduce that. So now I'm basically, in addition to what I had before, I'm adding a few filters. And then one more, I'm going to try this out, and that is, let's try an outline edge. And that just kind of creates kind of a little bit of an outline on some of these edges, and it kind of looks good. So I'm going to leave that on as well. So I've got these 3 filters on, and if I do a render now, that would be the difference between the 2 renders that I showed you. One of them is the filters, and the other one is just the kind of the raw render that Redshift gives you. Now the other thing also, one last thing here, is that there are other adjustments that I could make to the render. So I'm going to go ahead and turn those adjustments on, and then I'm going to see if this does, pardon me, any better with more contrast or not. I think the contrast is good. Red contrast, green contrast. Let's see. Getting some kind of cool images here. If I want to add a little bit of more green here and a little bit more red to my image, maybe less green. Yeah, so I can kind of play around with those, play around with the brightness, and I can see some things coming in chat. I'll be on there in just a second, and I can mess around with the gamma as well in here if I want to. Right, so I can do all those. I could just clear them all and turn adjustments off. I think the render is pretty good as it is, so I think we're good to go. Now the other thing I should also mention that I'm really enjoying is right now I'm using a Redshift material, so I'm just using the simple plastic material. By the way, the difference, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, between the materials here is that you've got materials over here, and then you've got materials on the bottom. So in addition to matte cap and standard, you've got Redshift polypaint materials and Redshift preset color materials. Now the difference between these two is that the ones on the bottom, you can't polypaint on them, but these ones you can. And the reason why you can't polypaint on the ones on the bottom is because they have a color already assigned. But these ones, all the color that's assigned to them is white, so you can go in and add polypaint to it, which is what I've done here. So the polypaint is showing up, but if I change this material to something else, then the polypaint will not show up. All right, so let's see. Okay, well, I guess nothing. Somebody's talking about Slime Bridge, and that's pretty much it. All right, so let's continue to work with polypaint here. So for polypaint, I'm going to use this brush that I really like. Filters, brush. Where is it? Okay, so brushes, polypaint brushes. And it's this one, Draw, which I bought a polypaint brush set from ArtStation, and I should remember what it's called, but I don't. But this Draw brush is pretty neat for just doing painting and whatnot. So here, I'm going to actually use a trick that Paul used during his presentation the other day, see how that works. I'm just going to mask and then paint. So first let me pick the color. So I just want kind of this darker color over here, and I hope I'm picking it up. Yep, got it. And then what I want to do here is go under masking, and let's do mask smoothness. I think that's what he did. All right, I'm going to solo this out. Now I don't really see the mask. I can turn it on and off. I guess it is there. And let me change the range up a bit and mask by smoothness again. Right. Okay, so I've got this kind of thing happening. And that's kind of cool if it was like a feature. So I'm just going to invert that mask. And then the color that I chose, I'm just going to paint with that color. Now that's kind of getting rid of what's there, and I don't want to do that. I want to add to what's there, so I'm actually going to make a little bit of a change here. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the RGB intensity and take it maybe to about 19 or 20. Okay, that's still kind of too much. So let's even bring that down further. Let's see what 6 does. Yeah, here we go. This is kind of what I want. So I'm just going to go ahead and brush, paint. Kind of these edges a little bit to make them have that kind of darker color. And again, I don't know what this looks like, so I will see in a little bit. And notice here that the more I go over an area, the more kind of it gets to that color. And I want to also get these edges as well. It's kind of wild because if I go near an edge, sometimes I just land on the canvas. So here we go. All right, I do have symmetry on, so this thing is happening on both sides. All right, let's see what we got with this change. So I'm going to clear the mask. It looks pretty cool. And then let's bring everybody else. And that looks nice. That definitely did add a nice touch to it. I think this is kind of still too light. And I'm also going to hide those teeth for now. And I want to get these edges to be a little bit darker, so I'm just going to see if I can freehand do that. All right, we've got a super quiet bunch today. Just a little bit of dirt and grunge, and then this one goes all the way through, so I'm just going to paint that over. Same thing with these areas. Now it's getting really hard to tell what's polypaint and what's sculpted, and that's kind of intentional. But in the end, it just should look like it belongs. And a lot of this painting that I'm doing is pretty subtle, but definitely does show. I think I went a little bit over what I wanted to here. All right, so one thing happening here is that I want my brush size to be smaller, and it's not going any smaller. I just need to double click on this dynamic, and then I can make it smaller. So I can get finer details like this. All right. And I know that the teeth are covering some of these edges, but I just want to do them underneath just in case. All right. All right, that's looking a little bit better. Let's bring those teeth back. I'll probably need to do some coloring and painting on them as well. Yeah, let's do that while we are talking about it. So just weather out the edges a bit. separate subtools, so to make sure I select the right one. And then it's a good idea to kind of match that edging on the outside of that piece, just to kind of give it a little bit more continuity. All right, there we go. Okay, so we've got that going for it, and now I'm going to kind of attack it back with some of this lighter color. And let's bump this RGB intensity up a bit. I'm still working in symmetry, but at some point I will break symmetry. But right now I'm just getting kind of the underlying paint. All right, I think that looks okay. So this looks like kind of, you know, dust and particles kind of get caught up in these grooves, and they make this type of thing. All right, I think that's good. And then this thing is UV'd, and I do, I didn't save it, but I was going to say I do have a texture of what it was like before, so I could apply it, but I don't think I saved the texture, which is fine. That's too much. And I'll kind of, to reduce the intensity and just kind of get a little bit more of this color on here. And again, I'm just trying to get a good thing happening with the colors. All right, here we go. All right, so that looks pretty good. I think I want to do a render just to kind of see how it, and again, this is kind of the distance, so I'm just going to do a quick render just to see what this will look like. Maybe from this angle right here. Go. Global illumination kicked in. And there's the render. Pretty fast. Okay, good, good, good. I think that's looking pretty good. I might have some of these objects separated out at some point, but I think I'm okay for now. So now I want to focus on this piece right here. And if I look at my picture, that's a darker paint. So I'm going to try and match that. I'm just going to leave that there. Actually, I'm just going to take the color it is. So I think this is the color. And I'm just going to paint on that color. Just so I have some sort of background. And I think I want to go a little bit darker than it is. And this mostly is solid. It's a solid colored object. So I'm just going to do that. I'm actually even going to try and see if I can match this color, if that'll make it any better. Okay, that's looking good. Maybe it's a bit too dark, so let's add a little bit of a highlight to it. And let's see, at some point I might turn some music on. You guys are not asking any questions today, so I will take advantage of that and play some music. What's the black mesh portion of the full model? You mean this body right here? It's just the body I created for it. So here I'll right now it's kind of got a dark silhouette because I don't really want to go in and detail that out. I just want to do a bust, but I felt like I should do a body just in case at some point if I needed to do the full thing. And the body, turn the poly paint off on it, and let me just pick a lighter color. So the body just looks like this. It's just a really kind of very quick and dirty body I sculpted. And I do have a cloak, and I do have a kind of, you know, this front piece, which I'm working on as well. All this is kind of still, you know, something I was trying out, but I don't know if I'm going to be, I might leave these on, obviously, but I might not use them. And for these, I kind of was doing something translucent, which was kind of cool, but actually I think I'm going to just pick cloth. So I'm going to go in here and choose simple fabric, and do an mRGB fill object. And there, mask on this thing. Try that one more time. Yep, there was a mask. And I need to, oops. Let me activate symmetry on it. Now I've noticed that with some materials in here, you don't really see the mask. And I'll do fill object again. There we go. And then I'll just pop this part out. And I just did this using the cloth feature. Now I don't know if I want this color of the cloak, so I'm actually going to choose this and just go to RGB and fill object with that color. Now notice nothing happened, and that's because the material that I picked was down here, and this has its own color. So if I want to change the color, I actually need to do it in material. Under modifiers, it's this color right here. So I'm going to change that base to this kind of bluish color that the coat is. All right, now that I've done that, and the sheen, kind of like maybe this lighter color, and I'm not going to include an image. Excuse me. As the texture, let me try something else here. Okay, so how about if I don't have anything? All right, so I don't really, I kind of have a very dark color here for this. And the diffuse color rate is at 100. So let me see if I can pick a different color. That blue was way too dark. So I'm going to pick a kind of a dark blue, but here we go. This is kind of what I want. Okay. And I want to fill this thing with it too. So RGB fill object, it's not going to do anything, but what about material as well? Fill object. All right, so I kind of have this cloth material here, and then I'll jump back to my simple plastic material for the rest of the body. All right, so coming back to what we were working on, I kind of feel happy with this. I don't know if I need to do anything else to it. So let's go ahead and work on this part of the helmet. And for that, I'm actually going to projection paint. So I'm going to bring my brush back here. It should be at the bottom. And I'm just going to move this over. Actually, I'll just leave this here. I want to turn perspective off for a minute. And place this over here. I'm going to place a marker just so I can get to this easily. And I'm just going to move this guy over here and scale him up to the helmet area. maybe something like that. I'm just aligning it, and I'm just going to use the poly paint from this helmet. Now, yeah, it's about here. Yeah, that's good. And then press X. One more thing I need to do here is under the brush menu, I need to go under samples and turn on spotlight projection, and just hopefully I'm on the wrong thing, of course, which isn't going to matter. Where are the helmet pieces? Are they all the way at the top? They are. Here we go. Okay, let's turn poly paint on for them. Just gonna. Okay, so there you can see there's a kind of an old version of this on there, but let's redo the paint job. So I'm just going to do this. Let's see if that's taking. It's not taking. All right, why is that? Because let's see, does this have enough resolution? Maybe that's the problem. It should have enough resolution. I'm just going to divide it one more time, just for kicks. All right, and then right, so this is exactly why I have that thing set. And let's try this one more time. Okay, I don't know why I'm not getting it. Let's just solo this out. Okay, there's the helmet part. It's got poly paint on. Actually, let me just fill it with a normal color first. Okay, so I just filled with, what material is this? Okay, simple plastic. Okay, it's got that. And let's bring this back up. And let's do the painting. Maybe I just need to go to the normal paintbrush. Let me do that. And see if that does it for us. No. Or maybe it is. Is it? Okay, let me try this fill object one more time. Okay, so I've got a solid color. This is where it needs to be. Bring this back up. And paint. Oh, maybe, yeah, RGB intensity is 100, so we should be good. Oh, maybe it wasn't at 100 before on the other brush. That's why we're kind of not getting what we wanted. Right, come on. All right, we are getting something. We're just not getting what I want. All right. In worst case scenario, we'll just paint it by hand, but I don't understand why it's not. Let me turn this off for a minute and go to here. Okay, so it does have the material, and it is getting poly paint from here. So I'm going to turn poly paint back on. And let me just try painting on here just to see if painting is... Oh, I know why this is happening. Dynamic subdiv is on. Here we go. All right, we're good. Half the time it's just knowing these things that are going on that could be of a hindrance. Here we go. One more time. One more paint. I think we should be good now. No. God damn it. I don't think I turned dynamic back. Yeah, I did turn it on back on. How's that happened? Okay. I must have just did an undo, and that must have caused it. Here we go. I can kind of feel it doing it in the background. All right. The struggle is real. Okay, so I am getting paint. I'm just not getting projection. Maybe it's because spotlight projection doesn't work with this material. So I'm just going to go back to a basic material just for kicks here. And I'm just going to MRGB fill it with that. And go back to here. And let's see. Yeah, I think that was the problem. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Nope. All right, so I'm just kind of painting with a solid color. That is so weird. So I guess that wasn't the issue. All right, let's go ahead and MRGB fill object one more time. Where are you? Sean, thank you very much. How do you buy my course? Well, I've got a couple that you can watch. So if you go to Gnomon Workshop, it's a website that has some of the best, if not all the best, training videos. And you can go to Browse by Instructor. You can find my name, which is right. IK, and then Kermanikian right here. And I've got these two tutorials that you can rent. And so when you subscribe to this service, you can watch a lot of different tutorials, and I've got two on there. I've got one where I'm designing a mech, and I've got another one about 3D scan and read topology that I have as well. So if you want to buy my trainings, there they are. I will be working on doing some Gumroads at some point. I just haven't had the time. My cat is visiting, so you'll see her tail and her misgivings in a few minutes. All right, so let's go back to this and see if we can make this work. I didn't think it was going to be this difficult to just do a projection paint, but I'm sure I'm doing something not correctly. But no worries, we'll figure it out. Some bugs, sometimes, yeah. You know, I mean, I don't think bugs fix themselves. I think what happens when you reboot ZBrush is maybe some settings that were there go away. So I mean, a lot of times you might want to use that method, but sometimes it's better if you try and troubleshoot it, and then you'll learn more about what's going on, and you can prevent it from happening in the future. All right, so here I've got this. I've got my projection on. Let me try one more thing here. I don't think this would matter, but let me try changing the opacity of this thing to up. And then here we go. We've got this. We got the brush. And we've got a color, and we have spotlight projection on, so there it is. And I'm just going to reset this brush just for kicks. And oops. And let's see what that did. Okay, so it is painting. It's just painting. Let's build up the thing. No. Why is it not painting? All right, so I have this, and it's there, and I'm doing the spotlight projection painting, and it is not taking. I wonder if it's because I've got this on. Let's see. Oh man, I don't want to move that. That's fine. All right. I think it's important to know that, like, everybody struggles with some things sometimes. So, all right, let's see if this is doing it. I kind of see it doing a paint job. I just don't know if it's. I don't know if it's constant samples. Like, I don't know if I'm. No. I don't think it's build up. Yeah, I'm just going to reset the current brush again. Okay, so these are the defaults, and here's spotlight projection. And it should be painting it. I don't need to be in perspective mode, so I don't understand why it's not. I'm sure there's one thing I'm ignoring, and I don't recall what that is. All right, I've done this a million times and it works, and now it doesn't. Well, the funny thing is that if I just paint now, it just gets I just get a lighter color, but when I've got that on, I'm getting the darker color. However, what I am not getting is the variations in the color. And I don't know if anything changed in that brush. I'm going to switch back to this one. Oh, I think I might know what the problem is. I think I might have figured it out. Paint. Okay, no, RGB's on. A's on. Paint with alpha. Let me try to turn that off. See if that was it. No. Try this. Okay, I'm using this brush, RGB. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I don't have enough resolution or what the deal is, but I'm going to solo out this object and take a look at it. Okay, so it's got 5 subdivision levels. Yeah, it doesn't have enough polygons, but I could probably subdivide it one more time. Let's give it one more subdivision level and one more. I don't know if that is the problem, but we'll see. Okay, there it is, and I'm just going to fill it with a primary color. Fill object. What is going on? Oh, it doesn't have a texture. That's the problem. Turn texture off. That was the issue. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to fill this object with RGB this color. Why aren't you filling on texture off? Okay, fill object. RGB intensity is, okay, here we go. Bam. All right, now we're good. X. I should save this out. I'm just going to clone it. I'll save it out in a minute. I didn't realize it kept it. It's a good thing. All right, so I'm just going to do this. I think we're close to having this resolved. It's kind of a pain in the butt for a while, but I think it's worth it. Okay, now I'm just going to turn this texture off. We have a brush. Let me just go to the paintbrush just to be generic. RGB intensity is 100. That's good. Paint. Do it. And gosh, nope, no such luck. All right. Wonder what's causing this. So there is no texture, there's nothing else. I'm painting, and it is painting with the color, but it's just painting with that one color. I don't think it's a UV problem because I'm not really painting on UVs. That's just poly paint. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to try this one more time. I'm just going to go ahead and go to a and it's one of these poly paint materials, but I'm just going to go to a basic material and go to M and say fill object. I'm just going to put a basic material on here. Okay, so I do have a basic material on here, and I'm just going to fill object with the color, but it's not filling. Oh, because don't have RGB on. Okay, RGB, fill object. Okay, so now it's all white. And let's bring up our thing. And let's paint. And let's see if that did it. Nope. Yeah, this is highly irregular. I don't know why it's happening. I don't need to create a brush. Depth, samples, orientation, modifiers, brush modifier, strength, smooth, all this stuff is good. Yeah, the only thing I needed to change was here under samples is the spotlight projection, which I have here in my UI, but I don't know what's going on. All right, we'll just kind of wonder if I turn Z add on, if that works, and Z intensity down. I wonder if that's going to do anything. No, it's almost like it's not even dealing with the projection. Okay, so let's see, what else can I try here? I'm just going to go back to this material, skip this, and fill object mRGB. Okay, there it is, and then if this doesn't work, I'm just going to try and match it. It's not that hard. Oh, let me try to maybe this is it. It would be hysterical if that was the reason. Nope. Okay, am I on polypaint? I am. Am I on RGB? I am. And I have projection on, and I'm painting, and it is not doing it. All right, fill object. Okay. All right. Well, then we'll just try to match it. I don't know why this is happening. I could reboot ZBrush, but I don't want to do that. So I'll just try and see if I can match the paint. Doesn't seem that difficult. So I'm just going to move this over here, pump up the opacity to 100%. Was that it? I mean, was it that this has to be at 100% for this to work? All right, I'm going to give it one last try here. Nope. It's almost like it's just not going through. All right. I don't know why this is happening. I don't think it's masked. I don't think there's an issue. But yeah, let's just try and match it. All right, and this will kind of be a nice exercise too. And a lot of times I'll just find kind of the basic color here and fill object with that, which is this, and then I'm going to choose this darker color. And try and recreate that. Right now I'm going to turn symmetry back on. Uh-oh. Right, symmetry on. And I'm going to choose an alpha just to get some sharper edges to my paint. I'm painting at 100, and this thing's going on tough. I don't have dynamic on, do I? I don't. Okay. Something is not right. Z intensity, that shouldn't matter. Focal shift, dynamic. Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, somehow this thing is just not taking color the way I want it to. And I don't think it's the material. I just think some weird thing is going on with it. Okay, so there's no texture map. Is there a displacement map? There's nothing going on here. I just want to make sure that those are cleared. And the material looks like it's pretty much, maybe this doesn't need to be there. Let's try that. Well, that just completely killed the color of it. And I'm going to reduce the diffuse color weight on this. And I think I got it. And I'm just going to fill object with white. All right, that's odd. Okay, so I have the diffuse color weight as 0. And I have my color here as white. Oh, that's the other thing too. This needs to be white. Well, we're getting there, folks. We're getting there. New version, learning new tricks. Fill object. All right, so now Yeah, here we go. And I bet you this other thing I was trying to do will work as well. Why is this kind of so dark all of a sudden? Okay, so that, no image. Okay, and fill object with white. I think I'm messing up this material. Okay, so a good thing to show you is how to get out of this mess. So I just messed up this material in a way where I don't know how to fix it. And I don't, I didn't save it, so I can't load it back in. But to get back to this material, what I will do is go to the render menu. And then there are these render recalls, and I can just go back, and now it's back to what it was. So here, 1, 2, 3. Now the object itself is the same, but it will restore that material for you. So this is a nifty trick to know. Okay. Right. Jeez. What we're trying to do is get this thing to accept color. It is accepting color. However, the color it's accepting is a little bit darker or lighter than what's here. So that's good. Let's just make this a little bit more dark. Okay. And now I'm going to try to do this poly paint one last time. I know I've tried it like 100 times, but I'm thinking maybe some of the changes that I made made it work. Does this have a texture map? It does. So I do have a texture map for this too, which is this, which I'll use in a little bit, but I'm not going to do that right now. But this is the exact same material as this. So mRGB fill object. Okay. Oh, that is very strange. Okay, well, obviously I'm kind of getting mixed up here, so I'm just going to go back and just do the poly paint normally. I'll try and figure out what's going on with this at some point. But right now I'm just going to paint in. Yeah, I'm really having to fight putting on the paint. And dynamic is not on. I've got 7 subdivision levels. Let me go down to maybe 5. That makes it a little bit more manageable. Yeah, something really okay. I think it's time to reboot ZBrush, so I'm just going to drop a quick save on this. All right, let's see. So Ixie, thanks for your suggestion. I don't think it's either one of those. Nice, it also looks cool. Also, okay, thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. Do you know if there's a way to force ZBrush to go to my Cintiq monitor? I have to drag it over to it every time, or remember what screen I use. I don't know because I don't have a Cintiq. I have 3 monitors, and it starts out on the first monitor. So I think the only way you can do it is if you set your first monitor to be the Cintiq in Windows. So just go to your settings. And I don't know if this will work or not, but I'll just suggest it anyway. But if you go to, go to your screen settings, so go to display settings, right click on your desktop, go to display settings, and you see how the monitors are 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So what you want to do is you want to, and you can change the numbers. So you can change these to be 1, 2, and 3, and then have your Cintiq be 1. And I think you should be okay. Try that. I don't know. And I don't know if you're on a Mac. That might be a different way to do it there. Okay, so this saved. I'm going to close down ZBrush and restart it. By the way, this would be a good time to tell you that they did come up with an update to ZBrush. So 2023.0.1 just came out. If you are on ZBrush 2023, make sure you update to that version. And it's a pretty fast update. So you just go into the Maxon app and it'll just say, you know, update it. You press a button and it'll do it for you. But that's one of the nice things about Maxon having ZBrush is that now it's just part of a thing where you can just see when it's updated and press a button and it updates it. You no longer have to go to the C drive and do all that. Funny enough, ZBrush just came up in the it just came up in the thing. So came up on this monitor. So maybe just start ZBrush on your Cintiq, close it down, and then when you restart it, it'll start on the Cintiq. I don't know. It does cost, if you have 2022 to upgrade to 2023, which is an upgrade, it does cost. So you can either do it with the perpetual license upgrade or you can do it by subscribing. But yeah, and they do have a, I think they do have a thing where you can get the okay, here we go. And I don't know what happened to the document size, but it's all good. Let's just go to actual. Let's go to a half. Okay, I'm just going to double my document size just for kicks here. But yeah, it is definitely, you do have to pay for an upgrade. Which, you know, I mean, if you really think about it, you have to do that with every other piece of software, and they're giving you a lot of really cool stuff. I know we used to get upgrades for free, but, you know, we should thank our stars that we did. But now it's a different story. And honestly, of all the programs that I use ZBrush a lot, and I don't mind having to pay for an upgrade if I'm getting such amazing, cool capabilities. Okay, so this is working. Now let's go ahead and see if I can do the projection paint. It'll be funny if it just works the first time. It'll be so frustrating. It means that there was something wrong with the settings. I probably did something incorrectly. All right, so here's that. Moment of truth. Just trying to get this kind of in that area of where it is. Like right about maybe something like that. All right, just for kicks, let me also add a pin. There it is, and all right, here we go. Is it working? Still no. Oh, because I didn't turn projection on. All right, one more thing, one last detail, and got my fingers crossed, and no. RGB on. No, it doesn't want to do it. I think it's just treating it as a solid color. It's not treating it as projection. I'm going to do one more of this basic material test. mRGB. Fill object. And just RGB. No ZAdd. And projection is on. I bet you it's just a little setting somewhere that I'm forgetting. I got it to paint on mine. I had to hit Z on the keyboard. Z. Yeah, I don't know. Z didn't do it for me. But I have draw size as Z. I think there's some other setting. That's the edit. So I'm turning editing off, but it's there. All of the mesh, the move brush, just make rethon, make your brush size bigger. Yeah, that's what I have that mapped, the thing you're talking about, I have it mapped to X, so it's hiding and unhiding, or going in edit mode and out of edit mode. That is happening. And I think this is at max, so it should just be painting it, and I don't know why it's not. And I have the basic material too. Okay, all right, so I guess it wasn't ZBrush, it's me. I did something wrong. I'll figure it out. But right now I'm just going to put this over here and try and match it with paint. Another thing sometimes that happens is that maybe this has some funky stuff going on with it. So I'm just going to duplicate that, and I'm going to delete this old one. Okay, so in this one, I'm just going to choose my material, which is going to be simple plastic. And I'm just going to choose material, not RGB. And I'm going to fill the object with that material. There it is. And then I'm going to go to RGB. I'm going to choose a lighter color, like maybe that. And fill object with that color. So there it is. And I wonder if it's because of the background light. Could that be? All right, I'm going to turn that off. And do we have this light on? Yeah, it's at... Turn it on. And I should have two lights on. And I'm going to turn this off too. Did I lose that texture? I did. All right, that's fine. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, hang on. Let's turn BPR, redshift on, BPR. All right, so it's the first time it's doing a render. Yeah, if I add Z-add though, what that will do is it will actually, I mean, I'll try it, but that actually adds geometry, so it won't work. I just want to see the lighting with the, just to make sure I've got light working okay. And it is, so we're good there. Yeah, Z-add will actually push the geometry out, and I don't really want to do that. Dynamic on, I mean, just going to take a look at the geometry here. It's just really simple geometry. Should be working fine. It does have UVs also, or doesn't it? Maybe that's the issue, but I'll check that as well. UV map. It does have UVs, right? Some really funky UVs, which made it go into space. What is going on? All right, I think that's the problem, is that there's something wrong with that piece. So I'm just going to reload this. Kind of wanted to get to painting the job, but I'll get to it. It abandoned the battlefield. All right. Right, I got to do the document thing again. Bear with me while I do it. No. And document, double, document, or a half. Draw out the object. There it is. There's that helmet. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to delete the UVs, and then I'm just going to re-UV it. So I'm just going to go down. I mean, it's just a really simple shape, so low. And go to UV Master. There you are. Unwrap. There it is. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, we're good now. And then let's just keep going up in divisions. Let's make sure that texture map. I'm going to clone this guy, and I'm going to go to no texture. Okay, so we're all good there. And is it at the high subdivision level? It sure is. Let's see if we get anything now. Okay, so just want to make sure all my settings are correct. Brush, spotlight projection, there it is, and paint. And no, it's just still painting whatever the first color is that I clicked on, oddly enough. What? Okay, I think it's because of my document size, because look at I am getting the projection, it's just not where it's supposed to be, which is weird. Like if I go here and paint, see what I'm saying? Like I'm getting this, but it's coming out over here, so it's not on top of it. Maybe it's a bug, I don't know, but oh no, that's painting the texture, that's why that's happening. Okay, let's just do a fill object one more time. And that was the last. Oh, it is getting it. Oh. No, that's right. Man, I must have troubleshot like 50 different things. I don't know what it is. I did restart ZBrush. I don't think that is. Camera settings. I mean, I've got a focal shift of 50. I don't think the camera is doing anything different. I don't think that is. I think it's just... I don't think I need to be in perspective mode either, or do I? I don't think so, but I'll give that a try. I am getting something. It's weird, but I'm getting it on the back. So here we go. Like you guys see what's going on inside. So I am getting something. I don't know if it's the alignment or I don't know what the deal is. Let me do that. Let me just paint this, see if that does it. No, it's the same thing. Okay, no worries, no worries, no worries, folks. Sorry for this complete tangent into hell, but I'll figure out what the problem is and get it resolved. But in the meantime, just to move things along, I'm just going to go ahead and do a manual paint. Okay, let's bring everything back. And I am going to... this moved over. I am going to go back and use that brush that I really like. So here, let's go back into brushes and poly paint. Where are you? All right. Yeah, here we go. And I'm going to use an alpha, maybe something like, let's see what this looks like. Okay. It's good, but it's pretty intense. I'm going to drop the intensity a little bit and start painting. All right, do that. And I'm just trying to find like a nice shape here. And this is just kind of more of a silhouette. Then I'll just go in and kind of clean it up in a minute. Now, a cool thing to do with painting is you can, if you pick this other color, you can hold Alt and just when you're painting, oops, when you're painting, moved off that brush. You paint with the darker color, and then if you hold Alt, you paint with the lighter color. What the heck? This is so weird. Okay, I'm gonna turn projection off. Isn't that like the thing is over here, but then it's painting it over here? This is so strange. It's almost like there's a little bit of a difference in distance. Let me try this. Yeah, look at that. So I just need to match that up. Okay, this is the weirdest thing. I really kind of want to know what is going on now. All right, I'm just going to turn projection off for now. Fill object. I'm actually going to reset the current brush as well. And choose this for it. Okay. One more paint job here. I think the problem is the projection is off. I don't know if it's because I'm on a smaller screen or whatever, but I will definitely bring it to their attention as soon as possible and see if they know what's going on. So the thing I was talking about is, like, you know, I've got this color here. If I press Alt, I'm actually erasing and then adding. Okay, and I think I want this to come all the way to the front. And I will draw some geometry lines for this, but I just kind of wanted to create. That looks cool. And then I'll pick this color up. And make it a little bit lighter. Some people ask me, like, do you need traditional skills to do ZBrush? And the answer is, I mean, in a situation like this, you should know how to paint. And so I'm just basically using the principles of painting. To kind of create a pattern. And again, I've got the front of the helmet, but I don't know what's going on in the back. So I have to figure that out myself, which is fine. Maybe at some point AI will tell, you know, we'll do a turnaround, but not yet in any way, shape, or form. Turn perspective off just for kicks. Make the thing where it's hidden and with brush radius, maybe turn on off back face mask. Yeah, symmetry I tried. Back face mask, I think that's an interesting one, but I don't think back face mask is on. So I think that's under auto masking. And yeah, I don't think it's on. There it is. No, it's not on. But that's a good suggestion. I mean, that's something I definitely would have tried and I thought of it. But didn't solve it for us. Okay, let me grab that. Let me grab this. And I'm going to do something interesting here and grab more of a square brush just to kind of get some straight lines. Remember the C key picks up the color, so I'm using that as well. Kind of like that little notch it created. Sometimes you get some happy accidents. All right. Okay, so that's kind of good for a base. Let me round this one off. Maybe this one's got a thing like this here as well. Can I paint in straight lines? Of course. Yeah, though if I want to paint in straight lines, like let's say I want to do a straight line this way, you just click, hold shift down and move your mouse so you can kind of see, and then you can have it be at an angle too. If you don't hold and then if you let go, it draws that straight line, right? So that's how you do that. So you click first, hold shift, and then drag out. Yeah. You can sculpt that way too. Like if you want to sculpt a straight line, same thing works. It's pretty cool. Right. All right, so now let's dirty it up a bit. So I'm just going to try and use some of the masking methods and see if I can, if that'll help. By the way, also, if I don't really like the colors, it's always, you can adjust the colors as well by just going to here. I'm using adjust colors, and you can just go in here and pick a color like this one and say OK. So now it masks everything but that color. And then you can, I'm just going to do a fill object. I guess switch color and fill object. No, it didn't mask it. What the heck? Adjust, there it is, on, mask. Oh, not override, but mask. But I mean, if you want to override it, you can. So basically, I've just chosen this color. So I'm saying with this color, I want to change the hue. So you can see that the hue is changing. Kind of like it this way a bit more. But it's not changing this, it's changing everything else. And you can invert that mask. Now it's everything else. And if you want to make this color a little bit lighter, or you can change the hue of it as well. Maybe the RGB intensity, the contrast, and just click on OK, clear the mask, and now you have this. And then kind of want this to be more of a curve. So I'm just going to grab this color. And do that. Something like this. All right, so to dirty it up, I might just use some alphas. So let's just pick one of these kind of dirty looking colors, like maybe that. And then I'm going to go to drag rectangle here, and let's just choose some alphas. Gosh, it's always a temptation to use these ones, but I should use other alphas. So I'm just going to do that. Alpha. And go to my alphas folder. Oh man, this is going to take a while to generate. I've got a lot of alphas. I'll give it a minute. I should have used whatchamacallits to do that. Pepsilipiton, where the Pixologic Discord. I don't know. I don't know where they have it. Good question. Maybe Maxon has it. All right, I'm gonna try this a different way. Let me try it again. See if it's. I think it's going to take its time. I think this happens once because I just upgraded to 2023.01. I think it does this every time you go into a new version. So try this. Man, I'm having all sorts of fun today. I think it's just going to do this in the background. That's fine. All right, so in the meantime, what I will do is I'll just use an existing alpha. How about, let's use this one. Well, the color is just coming through like, oh, is alpha on? No, okay, I'll turn it on. Here we go. All right, there it is. So we'll just get some dirty edges over here. And once the other alphas come in, this will be a lot cooler to do. So you can see I'm getting a little bit of that weathering. And all right, this is looking like it's gonna work. Okay, here we go. It just needed a minute to kind of generate all these thumbnail images. Okay, so what do we want? We want these are all from the Pixologic website. Let's see if there's anything interesting here we can use. Kind of edgeware. There's quite a few. This one's a good one. Let's try it with that one. Oh, I don't want to lose it. What the heck? Oh, I wonder. I'm getting another idea of why things didn't work. Why didn't that go into my alpha menu? Was it a texture? Maybe it was a texture. Some of these are not PSDs, or they're PSDs. Here we go. There it is. And I'm just going to make an alpha with this. Make alpha. Turn this off. Okay, so I'm dragging out that alpha. So this is just kind of a dirt thing, and what I'm going to do is bring down the RGB intensity, maybe not that much, and just pop that on. Still not seeing it. Here we go. Here it is. So you can kind of see that little bit of dirt that's kind of happening on top of there. So that's just kind of creating that kind of worn look. And then in a little while I'll do some streaks too. But here let's just kind of, this one in the middle kind of came out not too good. And again, I don't want these to be matching, so I probably should break symmetry, but I'm not. Okay, so there they are. And then I should also be putting this on a layer. I usually do, but it's just, oops, didn't want to do that. And switch colors, and let's just do darker ones. And like these will just kind of create a little bit of wear and tear. Okay, and I should have just masked it, or I should have just done the pick our square alpha again. I should have either created a layer or masked it, but now I'll just go over and do this. This actually is going to be indented in a little bit, so I'll do that. I'll sculpt it in a little bit. So I apologize for the frustrations with some of the things I was trying to do, but if you guys do this, you know that sometimes things just don't work right because you have a setting somewhere or just a flag that needs to change. But I will figure it out. Hopefully it's not a bug, and if it is, then good news is we can let them know to address it. There's always an adjustment period when a new version of software comes out. Hard stream? No. I mean, this kind of stuff happens all the time. Sometimes it happens when you're in the middle of production. And it's really frustrating because a lot of times you have to figure something around it, or like we did here, we're just actually doing the painting ourselves. All right, so this is looking good. What I want to do here is use some of the masking capabilities. So I'm just going to bring this out a little bit more. I'm going to choose a darker color for this. And just go over some of the areas and darken it up. Of course, I could have done that with the adjust color, but forgot. All right, here we go. And let's say this goes all the way around this way. Yeah, but I wanted to do a lot with the spotlight projection painting, so I don't know why it's off or what's going on with it. But I will know next time, so not next Friday, but the Friday after, I will know for sure what's going on. All right, that's looking a little bit better, and what I want to do now is just create some more details on there. So let's go back into our alphas. And let's go into, by the way, all those Pixelogic alphas you can download off their website. But let's look at rusted metal here. Maybe there's some interesting stuff. Nope. How about, let's see what miscellaneous holds. Oh, there's some really funky stuff here. I need to go back in and kind of do a run through these. But I just want to find something that has like straight line scratches. There we go. This is weird. Let's try this one. Okay, make alpha, texture off. Let's turn this off. Let's see if I can paint these streaks on. Yeah, I should definitely be putting these on layers. I'm totally not doing it right. But it's cool. All right, I think getting a bit closer to what I want it to look like. So I think that's looking good. Let's do a render to see what that will look like. Right, so let's turn perspective back on. Let's turn redshift. It's on ready. And let's kick off a render. Pepsilipton. I stream on Fridays. And I guess this would be a good time to show you this while the render is happening. But if you go to ZBrush Live, so pixologic.com/ZBrush Live, that's their channel. And if you go to calendar here, it shows you you know, all the different ones that are coming up. So basically, you know, this is kind of the schedule for February, and you can see that I'm on next time on February 17th. Okay, so on the 17th I'll be on, and it's from 7 to 9. And I think there's a way you can click on here to have it remind you. So if you click on this, for example, it goes to the page, and you can click on Remind Me, and it will tell you when I am on. So that's probably the best way to set it up. I'm usually on every other Friday, so if it's Saturday there, then yes, I'm on every other Saturday. All right, so the render finished, and it's looking okay for the helmet. I want to create some edging, so I'm going to do some of that masking with the thing I did before. So I'm going to go into the masking menu. Let's do mask by, oh, I didn't want to do that. Clear that mask, and I'm going to do mask by, let's try smoothness again. See what that looks like. Okay, so that kind of created an interesting look. And I'm going to turn polypaint off just to kind of see what that looks like. So where are you? There you are. So that's what the mask looks like, and it's pretty harsh. So let me also choose a lighter color so I can see the mask better. Masking, a mask by smoothness. Okay, so that's kind of nice, but not exactly what I want. So let's bring the range down a little bit. Okay, that's cool, right? Yeah, so that's basically a nice dirt pattern right there. So I'm going to leave that mask on. I'm going to turn polypaint back on as well. Like so. And I'll just go in. Let's say I picked this color. And just paint on. And what's weird is the mask kind of figured out this thing in the back here, which is fine. So I'm just going to go and accept this. I'm going to clear the mask, and that kind of looks cool. All right, so let's try a different kind of mask now. Masking, and let's do a, by the way, I can also blur the mask and do all the other stuff, which I will do with the next one. So I'm going to choose a larger range, but, and also more of a fall off. Let's see what that does. Okay, there's that. I think it's the same thing. So I think mask by smoothness, we've kind of used it up. So let's do peaks and valleys. That's always an interesting one. Oh wow, look at that. Okay, so that's cool. And I'm going to invert the mask. Okay, and I'm just going to bring down the RGB intensity and just use that as kind of a pattern as well. And then I'm going to dilute that mask a bit. That's going to give me some harsher kind of lines, which I might not want. So I'm just going to clear the mask. Okay, well this is kind of coming together for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn dynamic back on so I can get that thickness back. All right. So that's good. I'm going to leave that for now, and I'm going to go onto the jaw because that's what I want to work on next. So I'm going to try and do this a lot faster. So I'm going to do masks, peaks, and valleys on this bottom part of the jaw, and that's good. I'm just going to go ahead and invert that mask, and I'm going to fill this with a darker color. I'll pick that up from here, like maybe this color, and then fill object. Do I have RGB on? I do. RGB intensity might need to be a little bit more, like maybe about there. Fill object again. There it is. Clear the mask. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of color in there. And then I'm just going to do mask by cavity. And let's do that. And then invert that mask. And for this, I'm going to choose a darker color. Mask by cavity. Invert the mask. And then I'm going to choose that darker color to fill it in. And then basically I have more of that. And then I'm just going to augment it with some paint. Again, just going off of what this is. So again, I could have projection painted this, but I'm just doing it manually. Nice thing about ZBrush is that it's got some really great painting tools. And am I using this alpha? I am. I'm going to drop the RGB intensity a little bit. And let's get a little bit of that yellowness on here. Maybe a little bit more. All right, it's a little bit too intense over here, so I'm just gonna drop it down. And I don't know, is this dynamic on this? It is. Let me turn dynamic off, and that might make it a little bit faster. It sure is. Okay. All right. I see a little bit of the tendril here, and that's because I turned dynamic off. So once it becomes thick again, it'll be fine. Or I could just fix it too. Here, I'll just go to that tendril and turn symmetry off, and just push that one in a bit. Here we go. I guess this one needs pushed in too. All right, back to here, back to painting. And what's the subdivision level of this? I'll divide it one more time here. Let's go back to this paintbrush. So here, this is helping kind of blur some of those kind of harsh edges a little bit. Yeah, I think, you know, just kind of seeing what I'm getting here, just in the viewport with the redshift material, it's really helping me kind of get an idea of what this is going to look like once it's rendered. And if you guys saw my cat kind of still wandering around, figuring out what's going on. You, get down. Yep, there she is. Sometimes she goes and bites my pen while I'm using it. Makes it really hard. Okay, am I on the right tool? Right, adding a little bit more weathering here on this bottom part, and then I'm just going to move on to this part right here, which I probably need to sculpt a little bit more, but for now I'm just going to actually let me see it. Is it still a Dynamesh model? It is. All right, I'm going to zero mesh this thing. Actually, I'm just going to keep it as Dynamesh. Why is it? I'm not going to deal with it. Okay. I mean, it's got enough detail on it to hold paint, so I think it's going to be fine. All right, so just go in here and just let's do the masking tricks again. Mask by cavity, that didn't do much. All right, let's do mask smoothness. Here we go. That's interesting enough. And I'm just going to invert that mask and fill this with a darker color. Like that. And then just go in and clean it up. I do want a little bit of this kind of grunge on the borders, but not on the kind of the sharper edges. So again, this is all very, very rough, but I'll go in with some textures and paint on top of it as soon as I figure out what's going on with the projection painting. Now in the image, this part here is darker, so I'm going to actually use that. Oh my God, it couldn't be that, could it? It couldn't be, the projection paint couldn't be because I haven't selected the object. Because like you can click outside and it's not selected. I wonder if that's it. Oh my God, if that's it, I'm going to feel pretty unhappy with myself. Okay, let's just get that part back. So low, yep, that's the part. Oh wow. One more try on this thing. Spotlight projection. And you make this a little bit less. This shouldn't matter. I've done it a million times. Bring this over, turn perspective off. And this should be pretty straightforward. Let's see if it works. Did it work? No. Did anything happen? All right, so I'm going to lift up RGB intensity to that, bring that back one more time. And I'm going to actually turn the alpha off. Is the object all the way down there? Come back up here. Yep, there. And subdividing the geometry. I didn't divide it. Did the paint work? I mean, it did work. Something worked over here. So strange. Yeah, the projection is off. It is doing projection painting, but for some reason it's off. So like wherever I'm painting, okay, so something's happening in the background. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, it is getting something. It's just not getting the right thing. So strange. Yeah, it has to snap to the model. I don't think so. I think, here, let's try this again. Okay, so there it is, right? And then I press Z or whatever, X in my case. There it is. And now, I mean, I'll try the standard brush. I don't care. Here, let's just go to the standard brush. I'm happy to try it all. RGB is on, Z-add is off. And let's make sure projection paint is on. It is. So standard brush, projection paint on. Everything is good to go. RGB intensity is at 100. RGB is on. And here we go. I'm painting. And I don't know why this... Oh, do I have the dynamic on? I do. Let's turn that off. I'm painting and then nothing is happening. I mean, it is painting it with something, it's just not the right thing. So I don't know what's going on. So the thing that I thought it was not the problem either. So there's probably a third thing that I'm not doing right. But anyway, let's go back and choose the right color for this part right here. So I'm just going to go in with Alt and click on the color and drag. So it's kind of maybe this color. Okay, and I just want to color this outside part. That color. And again, I'll be cleaning this up, but it's not going to show too well. So again, I don't need to spend a lot of time. And one other thing I need to do is build the collar for his. If you look at the reference here, there's a collar. I need to build that too. And I need to maybe put some wrinkles and whatever in his coat. But all that I can do offline. But this projection not working really threw me off today. I kind of wish I can figure out what's the problem is. Right. And then there's the darker color inside. I'm not really getting those sharp edges, but I will get them. Right now I just kind of need it roughly painted in. Right. Slowly but surely we're getting to what we want. How are we doing on time? Oh my gosh, we're out of time. I'll stay on a bit longer. Yeah, it's not the snap alignment that's causing it. I think it's just, I think the problem is somehow the projection itself is off. So whatever's under the brush is not really what it's projecting. It's very strange. But, you know, this gave me a chance to do some, you know, get my painting skills back. Bump up the RGB intensity. I'm going to go back to this brush. Some streaks and defining lines here. You can see here that it's, these details just basically add more to the believability of kind of what it is. So I was thinking of what this character could be, and it could definitely be a villain in like a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie. Right, I think this is looking good. All right, let's do a render here. So I basically, right now for rendering, I just have, I don't have, let's see, what do we have light-wise? I don't have a, let's go ahead and pick one. So my image kind of went away, my light cap one. I'll just go ahead and load a HDR for kicks. So I'm just going to go in here and click on that. And import. I've got a few HDRs. HDR Haven is a really good place to get those if you haven't gone there. I just downloaded a bunch. HDRs. And let's just use one of these studios. They have 4K and 8K and 2K. They've got a whole bunch of them. So let's just do this one right here. Okay, there it is. So this is what that image looks like. So it's just like the studio. And I'm going to go ahead and bring these lights down to, again, 0.001. And I don't know if I want to have that blue one on. I do. Why not? Right, and let's see what happens when I do a render. I mean, even in kind of without even doing the render, just like this, it's pretty cool. So if I put perspective on, actually we'll see some of the stuff in the background. You can see the lights in the studio, in the background, which I don't really want to see, but if I get an angle, so right now it looks like the lights are coming in from front, and this is kind of a backdrop, so this looks like it's okay as far as lighting is concerned. I'm going to change the focal length here to 100, get this going, and then gamma's at 2.2. Let's see what that looks like. So let's just do a render. So I'm going to hide this. Let's make this bigger. Let's do a render. Just kind of want to get an idea of where I'm at. So I'm kind of zeroing in on what I want this to look like. And by next time, I'll finish the poly paint on the face, and I'll figure out how the projection thing works. And if you guys are interested, tune in to the next episode, and I'll have that figured out. Katan Kashyap, I don't know what you're saying by that thing in the colons, but if it's something nefarious, I will boot you. So hopefully it's not. Okay, so rendering in progress. It takes a little bit of time when you first kick it off. There's the GI, and that's kind of honing in, and soon it'll just do the bucket render. I'll probably do something with the eyes as well. I wanted to do some sculpting on the actual face, but I didn't really get a chance to. I'll work on that some maybe next time. But yeah, this thing is pretty close to being done. And I just have to figure out some sort of a cool background for him, and then do the render, and then composite it in ZBrush. So there it is. And then there are the post effects. And it's starting to look pretty good. I'm starting to, feel like it is getting closer to the image here, the AI image. But of course, this is a three-dimensional object that can move around. I can look at it from different angles. Let's do a render this way. And even without doing a render, even just looking at it like this in the ZBrush viewport, by just having the redshift materials, you're already kind of getting some interesting results. So let's do one more here. In addition to this, I don't know if this blue light is coming across. Let me just move this in a bit. Okay, so it's on, it's there, it's blue. Intensity, let's just see if I up the intensity if that matters. 2.7. But maybe if I have an HDR on it doesn't work, but let's try it. Okay, so one more render. And then we'll call it a night. So if you guys have any last minute questions, this would be a good time to ask. But while this last render is happening, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully you got some tips and also discovered that we all have challenges sometimes while we're working, and you know, sometimes it could just be a simple setting somewhere that could really throw you off. So it's always good to figure out a workaround and kind of keep moving to meet your deadlines. All right, so this is the render. It's looking really, really good. Almost done here. And there's the post-processing, and it's looking pretty good. If I don't want to see this white background, which I think here it's kind of not adding much to it, I can turn it off. I mean, still using the lighting, it just won't have the background. I'm going to do a quick render like that too. And this goes pretty fast since it did the render once. So there's the GI, and there is the render. I found Redshift to be pretty zippy. And I don't really have a fast machine. I'm looking to get one at some point, but right now my machine is a few generations back. But the renders happen pretty quick. Here we go. All right, I think this is a good place for me to stop. And again, thank you very much for tuning in. I wish you a happy day, night, whatever time of day it is. And happy ZBrush.